Ali tinha uma pergunta ali, ó, ali levantou ali. Tinha aqui primeiro, Rodrigo?
Rodrigo,
Desculpa.
go ahead.
Pergunta para o Dalton.
A question to Dalton.
Dois critérios para entrar na
Two criteria to get into the analysis to this. How about the carry trade? You're increasing the monetary base, encouraging financial assets, but as money doesn't have a stamp, Mr. Smith end up funding assets in Brazil or generating inflation across other countries with commodities and peaking and so on and so forth. And the second criteria would be, what about the U.S. being a world reserve? How does that influence this analysis?
I think that truly the Fed was able to do what they wanted to, produce inflation in the rest of the world. This was a brilliant execution by the Fed, what I call the infantilization of monetary policy, whether it's mercantilism of the 16th century, whether it's an monetary adolescence. Don't forget that in Brazil, we were dealing with a 3-decade hyperinflation. We just started riding the bike, and that doesn't mean that we can start driving a motorcycle or a car. The carry trade is inevitable. As I also see that it's inevitable that we'll have capital controls. I can't imagine that the world will go in a different direction to defend this, which is to create narrow aggregates in the United States and Europe, and this will have repercussions in healthy countries. When I talk to foreign clients, I feel good about saying that Brazil is much healthier than the rest of the world. Expansion of deficit in U.S. and the UK is 12-13%. Where here we're talking about the primary surplus dropped 1%. The supposed fiscal laxity is nothing compared to the rest of the world. So the carry trade will keep going as long as the system in vogue continues. It's a great opportunity for gains, financial gains. It's very hard to bet against the real, regardless of what the fiscal issues are from an intertemporal standpoint. I don't see any other options as good as the real. It's a paradise. As long as you have temporary solvents, I don't see this solvency coming to an end, unless you just have something, tremendous irresponsibility, because it would complicate political options. As incredible as it may seem, and everything is relative, the risk of a country is a relative data. There's no seal of absolute quality. 50 points over Treasury, 100 points over the Treasury. This is always relative. The basis is wrong. The carry trade is inevitable. The second point was? No microphone. The second issue, it's a paradox, is that I still buy dollars, despite the results of this ugliness contest. Europe is almost in the stage of Latin America in the 80s. The profile of debt in Argentina before the crisis was much better, more interesting than Greece. And in Argentina showed a great problem. So we're in the beginning stages. The biggest worry is Spain due to its size. So, as incredible as it may seem, we could live with the horror of inflation and deflation. We can live in a world where we can be successful buying gold and dollars. These monetary experiments produce the turning upside down of the world. We can do this test here and see that the dollar can be valued in relation to other currency and gold value as well. Professor, do you want to say anything about this?
According to the monetary policies in the U.S., there's a double mandate that they don't only need to take care of the inflation rate, but also unemployment, and unemployment is still pretty high. Likewise, actually differently from the European Bank that has increased its policy rate, the Fed will likely wait longer until they take action, because it fears to lose its independence against the Congress. That was always the argument. Oh, we need to follow the policy, otherwise we'll lose our autonomy, our independence. It sounds like a paradox. I have a different opinion on this. In relation to Europe, I think that the media exaggerates too much with its comments on Europe. It's almost like in the U.S., where you have like having an economic issue in Rhode Island, and now that means a bankruptcy of dollar. Of course, that is an exaggeration. That's exactly what happens regarding Europe. Ever since the euro crisis, when everybody said, sell euros, sell your euros, I said, don't sell your euros. When it was 1.19 to real, I said, it's going to recover fully, I said. Because the American media, if you go and read that, they have no idea what's going on. They know nothing about the mechanism in place. And recently, the euro is picking up. It's 1.42 again.
Okay.
Just to keep in mind, it's not just Greece. Now, there are other countries in Europe that are having issues. Question there. I'd like to ask Gardimam, who's going to pay the demand for bonds, American bonds, in July? And what if the central bank starts to sustain this, to support this demand? What's the risk of inflation? Because there is certain uncertainty regarding the dollar.
If you want to imitate a great money maker, you have to watch what the American banks are doing today, like the Japanese banks did during 20 years. They're buying treasuries at a crazy rate. This is a way for you having funding very low and a long level of exposure, 2-3 years, and a large amount of money. I'm sure that American banks will keep buying treasuries. I would advise you to do the same as the imitator. You're going to have the stronger side of this trade. There's no question. With all the lobbying power, all the restrictions and advantages, too big to fail. This happened in Japan. We have to have a realpolitik. What are the alternatives? There are none. Unless we have a complex action, as Rothbard said, you can make these changes from within. You can't do these from within. You have to knock the whole system down. When we're requested to perform at the short and medium term, We can't expect these long-term projections to help us deal with the short term. What are the banks going to do? They're going to keep buying these. They're not going to lose money.
Nosso tempo, infelizmente,
Our time
acabou, mas
is
eu
up.
convido, em primeiro lugar, agradeço a ambos os nossos brilhantes
But I
palestrantes.
want to
e
thank
convido
both of
todos
our
para
speakers, and I
continuar as
invite you all
perguntas no
to
intervalo. Temos meia hora
continue
de
the
intervalo.
questions during the
Às
break,
10h30 recomeçamos. Muito obrigado.
and we'll start back at 3:30. Thank you very much.